Yo! Thank you for joining me today. I'm so glad you clicked. We'll be going over Monday Night Raw that happened on 5/24. Now, I haven't covered a Monday Night Raw or any wrestling topic on this page before, but I've always wanted to, man. And now I get the opportunity to, since I'm expanding the content. So welcome to the page, Reviews from the Six. My name is Cedric. You can call me Ceddy Said. Become part of the tribe. Hit that sub button, y'all. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you thought about this past Monday Night Raw. Also, give a big thumbs up for the algorithm and make sure you share this to any platform that you have on social media, specifically wrestling forums. Okay, so now that that's out the way, I'm gonna have to work through the nerves and the jitters, okay? So Monday Night Raw started with MVP being in the ring. And of course, Bobby Lashley comes out, the almighty, with this almighty fine cast of women that he's been coming out with lately, which I kind of like because it does pay homage to MVP, right? With the MVP lounge, and when he made his debut, he had women with him on the side, you know? So I can kind of see where MVP took his gimmick and he's giving it to Bobby Lashley. I think, not that Bobby Lashley can't get over as a badass, but he's just not that badass on the mic, so I don't think anyone takes him seriously. But this character I can totally get behind because you can see he's having fun while being a heel, and he's being braggadocious. You know, he's having the opportunity of his life right now. Anyways, so him and MVP are congratulating each other pretty much inside the ring. Lashley speaks how he beat Drew McIntyre at Wrestlemania, and then WrestleMania Backlash along with Braun Strowman as well. Next thing you know, you hear Drew's music hit, right? And it's so funny because MVP is going on his rant, and MVP goes, "Yikes, Drew is always interrupting or interfering." And then all of a sudden Drew's music hit, right? So Drew comes on out, and Drew pretty much says that Lashley doesn't have any balls anymore, that he needs to return to the talent that he knew before he met MVP, because now we see MVP doing a lot of talking for Bobby Lashley, right? You have to remember Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley have history in TNA. So in TNA, Bobby was winning all the belts everywhere, you know, and he was cutting his own promos, and they were good promos to the point where it got him back into the WWE, right? So after he tells him that, you hear the New Day music hit. Here comes Kofi, right? Kofi comes down. He's talking about how, you know, he beat Bobby last week. Bobby says, "You should be thanking Drew." Drew goes, "You're welcome." And this is what I loved about Kofi. I think Kofi is going heel in a way. So you can see his attire is different from Xavier. And the way that he talks is more aggressive, and he means it. So he gets in the ring and he's like, "What you say? Come again?" "No, I don't hear you. I didn't hear you. What you need to do is get your ass to the back of the line where you belong, behind me, and let the other guys get an opportunity, because you get rematch after rematch after rematch after rematch after rematch." I loved hearing that from Kofi, and I love seeing Kofi do the jaw jacking the entire time before the match started. So, as I say, the match gets started, right? That's because Pierce comes out and he says, "You know what? I know how to settle this. You guys have a match. Winner meets Bobby at Hell in a Cell," right? Now, that brings us to McIntyre versus Kingston, okay? Now, I really enjoyed Kingston versus McIntyre. To me, you can totally see that these two men are main eventers. Kofi definitely deserved his championship reign. Drew definitely deserves all the rematches he's been getting, and they showed it last night, man. There was one spot, or a couple spots, that stood out to me that gave Kofi this heel type character. Kofi jumps on the shoulders of Drew and just starts punching him. Boom, 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 boom. like that, right? I mean, he just nailing them. Boom, boom, boom. It was great. There was a spot that I liked where it was a German. Was it a German suplex? I want to say it was yeah, I think it was a belly to back. I'm kind of hazy right here. Anyways, long story short, Drew was on the offensive for most of the match, the entire match pretty much. It got to the point where, you know, Kofi would have his run, you know, a chest slap here, a punch to the gut here, but then that momentum would end. Drew grabs Kofi by his beard, kind of like showing mercy on him, like, what else do I have to do here? What else do you have to prove? Kofi started to fight back, right? The match ends outside of the ring. You have McIntyre right in front of Lashley, because Lashley is ringside, right? Which is kind of weird because Lashley was at the top of the ramp in the MVP lounge, and then he ended up at commentary. Anyways, Kofi does an over-the-top plunge, hits Drew. Drew falls into Bobby. The match goes back into the ring. Bobby gets up, runs into the ring, and goes to work on Drew, causing a disqualification. So your winner of the match is Drew. If I were to rate the match, I would say that this is what two main eventers look like. That was a really good match on Raw, y'all. No kidding. I really, really liked it, and I can't wait to see more from these two. But later on that night, Pierce tells the two gentlemen that they'll be having a rematch next week, and the winner gets Bobby at Hell in a Cell. I'm with it, man. I can't wait to see that match. I do kind of want to see more of McIntyre in Kingston. Like I said, to me, well-deserved. You can see that these are two main eventers, man, and they're going places. And I love this whole heel run that you see from Kofi. And I love this, like, laid-back, cocky, arrogant, almighty Bobby Lashley. Instead of this dominant, beating up everybody, has no personality on the mic Bobby. I kind of like Bobby with a personality who laughs, giggles, talks crap, and be like, hey, I'm the man around here with all the gold and the women, right? So, after that match, we see Nikki Cross returns. Yeah, she returned. And what's so funny about that, my man Jordan out there, we always talk WWE and wrestling. I was asking the other day, where is Nikki? And he's like, yeah, she was in a lumberjack match a couple weeks ago, but prior to that, I haven't seen her in anything lately. Okay, cool. So to me, it was so cool seeing Nikki return. So the segment starts with Charlotte Flair standing there, and then Rhea Ripley enters the scene, right? Rhea pretty much let her know, hey, I can do everything that you can do, blasey, 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 and that Flair is jealous, and so on, so on, so on. Nikki enters the picture. Somehow they get on the topic of Flair can beat Nikki within 2 minutes. So that opens up the challenge for Rhea Ripley, saying, you know what, I'll go ahead and take the match. I'll beat her in 2 minutes. So it was the stop the clock challenge, right? Now this is where I don't understand the booking at all for this return, all right? So now we get Ripley versus Cross and a beat the clock challenge, 2 minutes, right? The match itself, I mean, it wasn't good. I mean, it was kind of like a squash match. You thought it was going to happen. But really, it was more so where Ripley came in arrogant. You know, she would just kind of toss her around, push her off, you know, give her a couple strikes, look at the crowd, wipe her chin. You know, Nikki would hit her, and she would kind of look at the spot where Nikki would hit and then look at Nikki and be like, oh, is that all you got? And then all of a sudden, the time started dwindling down, and Rhea just went to work. Just stumped a mud hole in Nikki Cross right in the corner. And like I'm saying, this seemed very, very heelish. Now, what I wanted to speak on is that it does seem like they're building this Ripley and Flair rivalry, because the other day, Jordan, again, we were talking, and we were like, so who's Flair's rival? And I said maybe Asuka. But it seems more like Ripley is becoming Flair, or learning from Flair. You know, it's kind of like that, you know, the veteran talent and the young talent, the veteran talent teaching the young guy how to the business and the ropes. It seems like that, like Ripley's going to have a bit of Flair to her. But anyways, so that brings us to our next match, which is Asuka versus Flair. Anytime these women get together, I just love it. I love it, man. To me, I wouldn't say they're equals as far as in-ring, but as far as talent and being on the same level in the business, I would say they're the same. They're equals, and that's what I love most about it. It's almost like we'll go back and forth with each other, but you other chicks need to lay down and kiss the ring. That's that feud to me in a nutshell. So pretty much, this match starts with Asuka trying to end it early. Asuka goes for the Asuka lock. She brings out all her heavy movesets. She does the rear view mirror thing. None of it really prevails. Flair stood her ground. It came to a point where the match changed when Flair gave a chop block to the back of the knee of Asuka. When she gave her that chop block, she took apart that knee and that leg for the rest of the match. She just went to work. Eventually, the match ended up outside again, where Flair slammed Asuka's knee into the steps. I love that part. She threw her back in the ring. Asuka eventually gets the upper hand, and she applies the Asuka lock. Flair gets back to her feet. Asuka attempts the lock again, but to no avail. What I love most, though, is right after that, we all know that Flair dates Andrade, however you pronounce it. And when she bust out that spinning back elbow, I was like, she got it from her man. That was so cool to watch, y'all. That move itself was pretty dope to see her do it. So she pretty much hits her with that. A couple moves later, she goes to the top rope, attempts a moonsault, doesn't land the moonsault. She lands on her feet. So she does a standing moonsault, which gets her a 2 count. Eventually, Asuka gets the upper hand again. Asuka applies the Asuka lock, and it doesn't work out, I believe. So she tries it again, and when she tries it again, Flair flips back for the pin, reverses for the 1, 2, 3. What I loved about the match was that it showed that Asuka wanted to get the match over with, and Asuka kept going for that Asuka lock. But Flair knew her so well, Flair knew the reversals the entire match. The entire match, she kept reversing the Asuka lock. Asuka couldn't tap it in, right? Same thing with Flair. A lot of Flair's moveset didn't work against Asuka. And I thought that was pretty cool to show each other, hey, you know what? We're on the same level. Not only are we on the same level, we respect each other and we know each other. And we can have a great match without even doing the little things. You know, like I said, from jump, she tried to end the match and went to the heavy moveset. You've seen a lot of these moves busted out early, so I really like that match. You know, it showed you, again, just like with Kofi and Drew, it shows you that these two are main eventers, and we should see more of them, a lot. Now, after that match, we get the Benjamin versus Alexander. Shelton Benjamin versus Cedric Alexander. Now, they show a promo how they were in the Hurt Business. They won the tag team championship. MVP brought them from nothing. They were paired with the champion, but were kicked out of the group. Cedric goes on to say that they were kicked out of the group because of Shelton. So Cedric believes he wasn't kicked out of the group, that Shelton was kicked out of the group. He then proceeds to call Shelton washed up. His time is over. Alexander that he's in his prime right now and it's his time to come up and shine, pretty much. They lost to Lucha Party a couple weeks ago, so that's a clear indicator the tag team is over with. There's not really much to say about this match. I wouldn't say it sucked or anything like that. I mean, but there's a difference in size. Shelton went out there and, was just the aggressor most of the time, giving them clubs, punches. I mean, all the trash talking Alexander was doing. I mean, Alexander even escaped from the bottom rope or underneath the rope when the bell rang. As soon as the match started, after doing all that talking, he escaped the match, Long story short, Alexander gets the upper hand, hits a lumbar check, wins the match. I mean, there's not much to say about it. It was maybe 5 minutes long or so. Now we get on to Riddle versus Woods. And I really like this match, man. I kind of like this feud, going back to the whole when he was paired with the New Day and, Riddle. When Riddle was paired with the New Day and Orton. I kind of love that whole angle, and then Orton turning on the New Day, and then that sets up Kofi and Randy, which then sets up Kofi and Drew, which possibly can set up Kofi and Bobby again, but it did set up Kofi and Bobby also. So I kind of like what they're doing here. They show the video package of that. They kind of show where Riddle is being influenced by Orton by hitting the RKO, doing the whole Viper body language. Match was really good. I was surprised because the match started with these guys grappling each other. They really were grappling. I've never seen Woods grapple before, so that was pretty cool to see. After a few strikes, Woods hit a suplex. Riddle followed with a chop. Both men began to grapple again to Riddle place a submission on Xavier. The match ends up on the apron where Woods kind of Death Valley driver Matt on the apron. So I thought that was pretty cool. He picks him up. Xavier picks up Riddle like this. They're on an apron, and he kind of just does a Death Valley driver, or FU, you can say, just flips him off. Boom, lower back hits the apron, and Riddle sells it pretty well. I like that sell job there. There comes a spot where Riddle goes for his finisher, and they kept reversing it, like the reverse tombstone, kept reversing it. Woods ended up getting Riddle in the tree of woe on the turnbuckle, gave him a couple stomps. Eventually, Riddle gets up. They do a stare off. Riddle hits him with an RKO out of nowhere, wins the match. I really like this match too, man. It was a great mid-card match. I would love to see these guys feud for the U.S. title again. Or not again, but to have Riddle have the U.S. title, or have Woods have the U.S. title and them have a feud. There was another spot in the match too where Riddle hits Xavier with like a belly-to-back suplex from the second rope while he's inside the ring and Woods is outside the ring on the apron. I thought that spot was pretty cool too. But your winner of that match, it's Riddle, hits the RKO. AJ Styles versus Jackson Riker. It made no sense to me. I get it. AJ is one half of the tag team champions. They have to build up Elias and Striker to be formidable opponents. But AJ putting over Jackson this way, I just couldn't get with it. The match itself was nothing special. I mean, Styles went to end the match early because he should, right? Riker is a jobber compared to Styles. Elias comes out of nowhere and nails AJ with the knee. Elias throws AJ back into the ring and Riker gets the 1-2-3. Amos then runs out, right? Everybody starts running. Elias hides. He finds Elias. He finds Elias being a coward behind the barrier, picks him up by his throat, throws him over, chases them all around the ring. They get to the ramp. Commentary hypes up how fast Amos is. Elias falls and Amos just trucks him. Boom. into the LED screens, and the LED screens don't crack, but they shatter effect, that stuff. So I didn't really care for that match. It really wasn't a match. It was just to get Stryker over, or Riker. Sorry about that. To get him over. I just really didn't care about it. Next is another one I really didn't care about either, but I get it. I thought it was really cool, and that was Sheamus versus Carrillo. Now, Sheamus wins this match, right? And I thought it was going to be another squash match, right? It's Sheamus versus Humberto, who we haven't seen in forever. I haven't, at least, right? But I kind of like what they did here, because this match gave Humberto that mean streak that he needed. So Humberto comes out with a whole new look, right? With the mustache, he put on a little bit more muscle. He's thicker. He looks more like a man than a boy. When he kind of looked like a pretty boy paired with Garza. So anyways, Sheamus attacked him, beat him up. He wants revenge, and he came out with that mean streak. Sheamus pretty much was the aggressor of the entire match until Humberto became manic. I want to say there's a spot where they were chopping each other. Humberto gets the upper hand, sends Sheamus outside the ring, hits a suicide dive, and becomes manic. Now he's getting pumped, he's getting hyped. He grabs Sheamus, throws him back into the ring. In order for Sheamus to win, he resorted to heelish tactics. He rolled him up, grabbed the shorts, 1, 2, 3. And like I said, this was where Humberto was hitting his stride, man. You see that aggression. You see the new side of him. And then Sheamus just ends it like that, when really the match should have been ended earlier. I kind of like how they did that. They gave Humberto a chance to show an aggressive side and a different aspect to his character. Okay match for that reason, but if you're watching to see a good match, you're not going to see that there. And finally, we get to the main event. Natalya and Tamiya versus Bachelor and Jax. This to me seemed just like Sheamus and Humberto, right? This match was to create another match and put someone else over. And in my opinion, this match was to put Reginald over. And even Shayna, right? I'll get to that why. But then there was another part of the match where Flames came up. And it reminded me of Kane or Undertaker, but I'm sure it's not them. Long story short, Natalya and Shayna exchange holds until Shayna's submissions reign supreme. Cool exchange there. You got to see them go tick for tack, and then all of a sudden Shayna started doing her MMA holds, and then you can kind of see Natalya didn't know what to do from there. It was like, okay, you got the upper hand. It was back and forth. Each team would hit a move and they would go for a pin, but it would be unsuccessful. Eventually, Tamiya and Nia started to go at it, where the commentary started hyping it up. These are two women titans, and they're going to demolish each other, destroy the whole city, blasey, blasey, blasey. So those two women go to the outside of the ring where they're just going to work on each other, right, supposedly, which leaves Natalya and Shayna in the ring. So Shayna's getting the best of Natalya, supposedly gets the win. Reginald interferes, distracts everybody, right, which he's been doing for the last couple weeks. Natalya rolls up Baszler, gets the win, 1, 2, 3. Shayna jumps out, cusses him out, throws him around, tells Nia he's been ruining everything, costing the matches, so forth, so forth, so forth. Before Reginald can get up the ramp, like I said, flames come up, big fire, Undertaker, he's blinded, doing all this. Now, this is prior to the match. This is what caused the roll-up, pretty much. So she's checking on him. She picks him up, says, hey, tired of you costing us these matches. It's going to be me and you next week. And that ends the show. I don't know what to say, really. I mean, they started out with fire, pure heat, right? I mean, everything from the opening of the show to McIntyre and Kingston to Nikki's return to Asuka versus Flair. I mean, it was all good, to Riddle versus Woods. I mean, it was all good except for the ending. You know, in the end, we eventually saw AJ and Jackson, Sheamus and Humberto, and then the women tag team. That's how they ended the show. And you ended the show with the cliffhanger of Shayna versus Reginald. They ruined it for me, dog. But you know what? I kind of like that because it is a 3-hour show. And they had me hooked from the first 30 minutes. So I stayed with it and watched it. So applaud. Because if they did it in reverse, let's say they started the match with the ladies and then went on to Sheamus and Humberto and then AJ's and Jackson, you know, stuff like that, I don't think I would have liked it. You know, I think I would have turned it or fast forward a lot of it. But, you know, with them doing it in this order, it was really, really good. Solid Monday Night Raw, y'all. But yeah, long-winded. It was my first review of Monday Night Raw, but it kind of came naturally. A few words I messed up on. I know with Jackson Riker, I'm messing up his name. I think I said Striker. Same thing with Tamiya or Tamina. I get lost on her name as well, man. Couple things. But you know what? I had fun doing this, y'all, and I think I'm going to do more of these. So make sure you do what you're supposed to do. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can join the tribe. Make sure you leave me a comment. What did you think about Monday Night Raw? What did you think of my analysis and breakdown of Monday Night Raw? Would you have done anything different? Also, make sure you give me a big thumbs up, like the video for the algorithm, okay? And make sure you share this video to any platform, all of your social media platforms, any podcasting platforms, any wrestling platforms. Do that for your boy. In the meantime, peace and blessings.